Welcome to Rockets Wireside Chat, presented by AT&T. In this episode, we chat with Rockets legend Mario Elie, and it all starts right now. Welcome to another edition of Rockets Wireside Chat, presented by AT&T. My name is Craig Ackerman. My guest this week is a three-time NBA champion, was known as the Junkyard Dog when he played here in Houston, and hit one of the most iconic shots in franchise history. My guest this week is Rockets legend Mario Elie. Mario, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. Good to see you too, Craig. Miss hearing you on the sideline, bro.
Boy, I'm missing me on the sidelines too. We'll start with the old generic. So what have you been up to the last couple of months?
Well, I got triplets. Everybody knows I got 17-year-old triplets. So it was tough.
17
Yeah, 17. They're gonna be seniors. You believe that? Time flies. Crazy.
Man. Wow.
But just been hanging out with the kids and family, doing schoolwork, working the boys out. Working my daughter out with her volleyball. Doing some Zoom classes, cooking, reading this good book right here. It's an excellent book. Me and my family are reading as a family. So just trying to do those things. Miss sports, man, I tell you, especially basketball.
Boy, everybody misses sports. We've been doing these for the last, month or 6 weeks or whatever. And I brought this up a couple of times before we kind of get to the meat potatoes of our conversation here today. But there's the cliche that, it's only sports. There are things much more important in life, which is still true. But during this sports absence, we've all realized how much they actually mean to us.
Yeah, because before, when 9/11 happened, it was a tragic day for our country. But then we had baseball, that big famous Yankee game. George Bush throws out the first pitch. And that sort of took a country away from what happened for 2 or 3 hours. And that's what sports does. You get caught up in the game for 3 or 4 hours, and you and you don't think about the problems, and you just enjoy the game. And that's what we're missing now.
Well, we have a lot to get to. Let's start with your shot, the kiss of death. It recently, just a couple of days ago, right, was the actual 25th anniversary of that shot. Walk us through that series, that game, what led to that shot, and the reason for the kiss.
Just a fantastic series. Everybody talks about Seattle, Utah were hard for us. But, man, that Phoenix team going 2 Game 7s 2 years in a row, playing against Barkley and Kevin Johnson, Danny Ainge, Joe Klein, AC Green. Those guys had a very good team. But it was just an amazing series in 95. We had a lot. We went through a lot that 95 season, trading Otis, Vernon leaving the team. In Game 5 of that series, Clyde having a fever at the hotel. We have to win two games in Phoenix home court, being down 3-1. So him showing up, not feeling well, 40 minutes before the game, sort of lifted the team that game. I think myself and Chucky sort of helped dream out a little bit that game. We won in overtime. And once we won in overtime, we felt good going home. We had a lot of confidence going home. We really took care of our business in Game 6. Then in Game 7, anything can happen. I was the one that really talked a lot of mess before that Game 7. And you hear Steve Jones, Snapper Jones, and Bill Walton said, for all the guys to make this shot and do all the talking, when you talk, you sort of have to back it up. But I want to take you through that scene. KJ was having a great night. He went 1 for 2. He missed his 22nd free throw after going 21 for 21. So the game was tied. So Robert was taking the ball out. It was 20 seconds. I think Phoenix knew we were going to hold the ball for the last shot. So Ainge was guarding me. So I guess he wanted to speed us up. So he went back and doubled Kenny in the backcourt. Robert threw it in and sprinted to half court. So Kenny got doubled. The point guard he said, let me make the short pass. Robert's open at half court. So he hits Robert. So it's myself, Olajuwon, and Clyde. So they're not leaving the 2 top 50 greatest players of all time. I guarantee you that. Marley was on Clyde, I think, and Shays was on Dream. So Robert spotted me in the corner.
That was a heck of a pass. That was from half court.
I think that, Craig, the catch was even better, though. I had to go
to get it. Great catch.
So Robert said, "Ooh, I thought I threw it too high." But it was a great pass. And I thought, and Danny Shea had a decision to make, leave Dream or let me shoot. So I knew I was going to have time to shoot because he wasn't needing number 34. So when he saw me set my feet and cock the trigger, he tried to late contest, but it was too late. You know, when you're a shooter, Craig, you know when it's good. So shot it, felt good. Everything about that shot felt good. I didn't want a Kawhi Leonard result where it bounced on the rim 9 times, then it went in. Mine went all net.
So that kiss was meant for Klein.
It was meant for Klein and their bench.
Houston will hold for the last shot. There's a tendency in this situation to wait too long, though.
Elie out of the corner for 3, hit it! Mario Elie with a 3 with 7.1 seconds to play. Timeout, Phoenix.
And look at him talk to the Phoenix bench.
We came back, walked him down, and blew Joe Klein and kiss of death. See you later. Have a good vacation, buddy.
You know, that was, as you brought it up, that was a very interesting season. I mean, the previous season where you guys won the first championship, you had the 15-game winning streak. You were one of the top teams in the league. This was a season where you dealt with some adversity. You were up and down. There was the Drexler trade on Valentine's Day. You mentioned the Vernon Maxwell situation. You went in the playoffs as a 6th seed. Nobody had won a championship from that spot before and since then. So what was that kind of mentality going into that postseason? Because you guys had the championship pedigree and experience. You knew what it took to get it done. But coming from that particular spot, what was the kind of mentality going into the postseason that go around? Because you had gone through a ton of adversity.
Well, people don't know that Dream was hurt for a long amount of time towards the end of that season. And Clyde came in, even though we were 18-18, Clyde had some outstanding games, 40-point, 30-point games. So I felt, man, we got 2 great players going into the playoffs. If these 2 guys can play at a level, I feel good about our chances. And that's exactly what happened, you know, especially that Utah game. Both Clyde and Dream both had 40 in that game 4. And that's why you get Clyde Drexler for moments like that. That's why Clyde Drexler is one of the 50 greatest players. He knew, and you see the Clutch City video, he said, if they lose, they're going to blame me. And you damn right we're going to blame you, Clyde. So he came in and really stepped up. And everybody really stepped up. We know those 2 guys go do what they do on a nightly basis. But other guys stepped up, and us beating Utah, you know, having 2 elimination games, winning 1 at home, and going up there, being down 7 with 5 minutes left in the game in Utah, one of the toughest places to play in the NBA, and listen to our leader Dream said, we got to make our move now. We got to make our move now. And we did that, led by our 2 great players. You know, Clyde and Dream just took over that game offensively and defensively, and then we went on to Phoenix.
The Utah Jazz, I've always considered them, especially back in the 90s. They were tough.
Yeah.
I think they were the Rockets' biggest rivalry, a lot of nastiness between the 2 teams. Jerry Sloan just passed a couple of days ago. I imagine he's a man you hated going up against because of that rivalry, but greatly respected. Your thoughts on the career of Jerry Sloan? As a heck of a player, but a Hall of Fame coach as well.
Love Jerry Sloan, one of my favorite coaches. And you're right, Craig. They were just a nemesis. I remember us trying to guard that Stockton Malone pick and roll maybe 15 different times in my tenure with the Rockets. It was just so hard to stop. And Jerry Sloan's offense was a great offense. It was sort of a read offense. If he overplayed the play, they had a counter. You know, sort of like a little bit like a triangle, but great coach. If you follow Coach Sloan's pedigree, he was my type of player. He was sort of like a junkyard dog back in them Bulls days, and I always liked that. Never backed down with nobody, even as a coach. You know, they showed highlights of Jerry Sloan going up against Stackhouse, challenging different players with his suit on. So I like a guy like that. It was a terrible loss to the basketball community. I remember in 1992, I think I was with the Warriors, and the Dream Team played in Portland, and I remember going to the game. Chris Mullin was my teammate. I said, Chris, I want to come watch you play up in Portland. So I go to the Marriott bar down in downtown Portland, and who I see there, Jerry Sloan. So I sit down and just have a couple beers with Coach Sloan, and we're just talking basketball, and just a great basketball mind and just a great, great person. I always had admiration for that guy, even going against him on the other side. And it's a very, very sad loss for the NBA. Love Jerry Sloan.
Yeah, no question about it. Our thoughts and condolences go out to the Utah Jazz and the Sloan family. The nickname Junkyard Dog, where did that originate from? Was it your thing? Did somebody put that on you? Where did that come from?
I think just somebody put me on me, Craig. But I always felt, ever since I was in high school, always got slighted. You know, I was one of the best high school players in New York, and I was one of the only top guys to go Division II at American International College, watching all my buddies play on TV all the time. So that always put a chip on my shoulder. I always felt I had to prove myself. So everybody knows my story, overseas CBA. So when I finally get to the league, you know, I always played the game as hard as I could. Then when I got traded from Portland to Houston, I knew what the team sort of needed at that time. They needed a guy to go out there, play a little defense, rile a little things up. So competing against Vernon Maxwell every day in practice, me and him fought almost every time in practice. But that's why sort of New York and sort of Vernon helped me get that edge. So every time you saw me on the court, Craig, I'm playing angry. I always felt I had to prove myself all the time. So I played extra hard. I wanted to guard the best player. So and somebody said, man, this dude played like a junkyard dog. So I kind of liked that name, and it sort of stuck with me.
It's stuck. It is an absolute great nickname, and the best ones are the ones that just sort of happen organically. But, yeah, you were a 7th-round pick in 1985 by Milwaukee. They brought you into camp and then cut you, and then you made a long and winding path to the league. I mean, you truly were one of those guys that you earned everything that you got.
And that's why you see guys like P.J. Tucker, Patrick Beverley. We all took that sort of route, and that's why we play the way we play, because we feel we got to prove ourselves. And those guys play. I just love those two guys. Those are some junkyard dogs right there, too. Love Patrick Beverley, love P.J. Tucker. We the guys that sort of took that sort of road, and we feel we have to prove ourselves. That's why these guys like that, like us, we play hard every night.
What kind of advice can you give to perhaps maybe some younger players who are in your position now on what it ultimately takes to get to the league if you're not one of those top players?
Follow your dream and work on your game. It's good to go see the world. That's how I approached it. I said, I had a couple offers from overseas. I said, hey, I can go see the world, work on my game, because I was a 3-4 in college. Just a quick story. I went to Milwaukee, Craig. I was the second shortest guy in camp. So I had to go from playing a 3-4 position to being the point guard in training camp. So that's probably the only time I was happy to get cut, because I felt I needed a lot of work. But for all you young guys, believe in your dream, work on your game. If you have to go overseas or the G League, that's okay. You get better in those leagues. You know, if you see a team that you like, you got to find a niche on the team. You're not going to come in and immediately be the star, because when you go to NBA, there's already established star. So that's how I thought about it. I said, how am I more fit in with this team? You know, should I play defense? You know, whatever the team needs me to do, that's what I'm going to do. And that's why I stuck around. I had an 11-year career. I won 3 championships and made the playoffs every year of my career. You know, I have 160 playoff game played. And from a guy like you mentioned, Craig, 7th-round pick, Division II, if you believe in your dreams and work hard enough and willing to sacrifice a little bit, good things will happen.
You were born in New York, so you mentioned you played in amongst a lot of legends in New York City. You were inducted into the New York Basketball Hall of Fame. That had to feel pretty good to be honored amongst your peers in New York City.
That was great. And to go in with a great friend of mine, Ed Pickney, who went to Villanova. We're still friends to this day. I know he's a scout for the Rockets. Just a great human being. And to go in with him and Bobby Cremins and to be in notice. I know New York basketball is down, but during my era, every day in high school, Craig, you played against a major Division I guy, whether it's Syracuse, Seton Hall, St. John. There was a lot of Big East talent there. Chris Mullin, you know, we played together for 3 years. Then he transferred to Xaverian. So me and him battled our senior year. So New York basketball back then, man. I mean, Rod Strickland, Mark Jackson, Kenny Anderson. I mean, Stephon Marbury. The list goes on and on. A lot of great players.
The kind of going back to the championship runs here for a little bit, the choke city, clutch city thing. As a player, how much attention did you actually pay, I guess, to the original choke city moniker, and then ultimately turned to clutch city? Were you aware of that? Did you use that as fuel? How did that affect you in the locker room? I mean, look, there's the disappointment of being in that situation as a player, but to be piled on like that by the media, what did that do to your psyche, and how did that help you guys turn things around?
We're a mentally tough group, Craig, and we deserved it. I mean, you up 20 points, 2 games in a row at home, and lose. It is choking. But I knew the kind of characters we had in that locker room. I knew the kind of leader Rudy T was. He was always confident and believed in us, always confident. So we got on that plane. We felt really, really good. And thank God for my man, Vernon Maxwell. Boy, when Vernon gets hot, y'all just got to move out his way. I mean, 30 points that second half. That was an amazing clutch performance. And I think Vernon Maxwell don't get talked about enough, how good of a player this guy was and as good as a competitor he was. So he kept us in the series. He had a big second half, having 30. And then we went into game 4. We tied the series up. And in game 7, that's when the emergence of Sam Cassell, a young guy from Florida State. Of course, Dream was great that game, had 37. But Sam had a big 22 points for us to really clinch that series.
The Houston Rockets and Fertitta family are excited to launch an online daily auction to benefit the Clutch City Foundation to support COVID-19 relief efforts. Each day, a new one-of-a-kind Rockets item will be available to bid on. Items include autographed basketballs, authentic game-worn shorts, game-issued shoes, jerseys, and more. It's easy to participate. Download the Houston Rockets app, check in each day for the daily item up for auction, and then bid for your chance to win and give back. Head to Rockets.com for more information.
We had Robert Horry on last week, and we were talking about The Last Dance because it had just wrapped up. And I'm assuming you watched it, right?
Of course.
But we were both disappointed that there wasn't at least a reference to the Rockets in the 2 years that he had stepped aside and whether or not he thinks that they would have won those championships against you guys. And obviously, Michael Jordan and Akeem Olajuwon will forever be linked. They were taken in the same draft. In fact, Michael was taken after Akeem. How do you feel about the Rockets not being mentioned at all in that documentary? And then I guess sort of a more long-range question, as we still discuss this 25 years after the fact. How do you feel you would have matched up with the Bulls if indeed you had met in the NBA Finals during those days?
I don't really care if they didn't mention us. We still got those championships, first of all. Second of all, we'd have matched up great against them. You know, we got Vernon and myself. You ain't going to stop Michael Jordan. We all know that. But we're the 2 guys who can make him work. And Michael Jordan really didn't face a big man at the caliber of Akeem Olajuwon. He faced the guards that were good. I know it was Rodman, Sally, Lambeer, Perkins. I mean, who Seattle had? They had Kemp and Irvin Johnson. They really didn't have the caliber of big man of Olajuwon. So if Michael Jordan would beat me and Vernon, he would have to meet 34 at the rim. So that would have been an interesting matchup. Robert would tell me that Phil Jackson didn't like to double team. I played with Akeem Olajuwon 5 years. This man sees double and triple teams on a nightly basis and still gets 30 and 40 points. So imagine if Phil Jackson don't double Olajuwon. He would kill them, get them all in foul trouble, et cetera, et cetera. And we had a group of guys who weren't scared. A lot of these players were scared of Michael Jordan. You know, it was like that Mike Tyson effect. When Mike Tyson was first on the scene, Craig, you walk in the ring, he'll have them guys beat by the stare down, you know?
In fact, they were beaten within 30 seconds.
Exactly. So I thought we had guys that weren't scared. We weren't scared of nothing, you know, especially the 2 years we won, being down, the adversity we had to deal with. We just had some tough, gritty guys. And Robert Horry and the Scottie Pippen matchup would have been amazing, you know. So I would like our chances, you know, especially because we have Olajuwon. Both guys were sort of on top of their games at the time. to me, it was like Jordan 1A, Dream 1B. Them two guys were just great in the 90s. So I would have took us in 7. You know, it would have been a great series. Jordan would have got his for sure. Olajuwon would get his. I think it would have been up to the role players. And I sort of like our role players a little better than theirs. You know, OT and Horace Grant would have been a great matchup. OT, we traded OT the next year, but OT and Rodman, I don't know when Rodman came. I guess he came.
It was a second three-peat.
Yeah, so it would have been interesting, but I would have liked our chances, especially with that 94 team. We had size, we had athleticism, and we had toughness.
Are you going to be the guy that's going to bring back the oversized suits of the 1990s?
I know those were sweet, man. Those were sweet. I was loving this, the gear, and especially the music, man. They were going back to the real original hip hop, you know, back in those. They had a great soundtrack for The Last Dance. It was outstanding.
Rudy T in the Hall of Fame. About time, right?
Long overdue. Talked to my man a couple of days ago, and he called to thank me for advocating for him. I said, you didn't have to thank me, brother. You deserve to be in there with your story, playing and coaching. Just an amazing combination of what this man accomplished. And we're not talking about what he did at Michigan. I hear his rebounding record is still holding up there in Michigan, but man, great career in college, amazing career in the NBA, especially this man almost died, came back and became an all-star, transitioned to be a coach, got probably one of the best centers ever to buy into his system, and it benefited both of them. You know, end up having 2 championships. You know, then Rudy goes on to get a gold medal. Nobody talks about that. But he just had a hell of a basketball career, period. Couldn't be more prouder. Look who he's going in with. Duncan, Kobe, Garnett. What a great class to be going in with. And I'm hoping they have the ceremony because I want to be there to witness that. I would love, you know, I went to school in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Right.
Basketball Hall of Fame. And so I always wanted to attend one of those Hall of Fame events. This would be a great one to go to support my coach. And he called me to thank me the other day, and that was big time. And I was big time to hear from him.
Yeah, they might have to charter a plane out of Houston for all the people that would attend that, right? I mean, he's gonna be a lot of people there.
Get the jet fueled up, buddy. Just say
it'd be like the old days. So as we get close to kind of wrapping this up, just some quick thoughts on some current events. It seems like there is some momentum for. You know, the Bundesliga has returned, baseball in Korea, and so on and so forth. Yeah, and there seems like there is finally some momentum here in the States for sports returning, and some of the news coming out about the NBA heading to Orlando in sort of a campus bubble situation. What are your thoughts on what that might be like as a player without fans in the stands? I'm assuming that basketball in any form is better than no basketball at all.
I agree. I just think it's tough without the fans, and I'm looking at the Bundesliga. These guys are still, with the cardboard fans in the stand, they still playing at a high level out there. And I'm sure the professionals on the basketball side, even though, like LeBron said, it wouldn't be the same, but I'm with you, Craig. Any basketball with no fans is better than no basketball. But I would like to give the guys at least 3 to 4 weeks, you know, to get in shape. You don't want to rush these guys back. Then you're going to have injuries. Especially when the league stopped in March, Craig, and that's when the NBA player is at its highest conditioning level. You going in the playoffs, you got maybe 65 games under your belt. Guys are in real good shape at that point. And missing 2 months of a season and trying to reboot it without giving these guys time, I hope they give the guys time to get in shape. I'm hearing late July, which is smart. And just bring the 18 teams that made the playoffs. You can't bring everybody back. Just bring the playoff teams back. Maybe have a couple of scrimmage games, then play the playoffs. I would like to see the guys play a couple of games, then go to the playoffs. Because you know how the playoffs is, Craig. The intensity levels at 150 million degrees higher than the regular season. Guys are going extra hard. And I just don't want to see key guys going down with no injuries, you know. So I'm excited. I'm hearing good news about basketball. I want it back, even with no fans. I need something to watch. I need some hoop to watch.
So with that said, what have you been watching? because there hasn't been any sports.
I've been watching a lot of our old games. A little 95, even though the video is a little grainy.
They've been airing some of those games lately. You've been watching those?
Yeah, but I've been watching like our playoffs against the Blazers, a lot of the Utah games, some of the Seattle games, watching a couple Netflix, watched a nice little series, me and my wife, Little Fires Everywhere with Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington. That's a pretty good series. So I've been getting into a couple series with my wife, but I'm missing sports, man. I'm even watching Korean baseball, man.
So you're up at like, what, 5 o'clock in the morning?
Well, they show it at least tape delayed on ESPN2. So I'm watching Korean baseball. I know I'm in Houston. I'm from New York. I'm a diehard Yankee fan, so I love the Astros also. So I do miss watching those teams go at it. Two great teams. I miss my team.
Yeah, we miss sports indeed. I cannot believe it's been 25 years since
that, Craig.
Second championship. That was my first year with the organization. I was an intern in 1994-95. And I just remember from a personal standpoint, I, as a fan, when you guys won the first championship, the amazing celebration and feeling that was, and then to have, I was an intern. I had a very small part, but then to kind of be part of the organization when you guys won it again, that was very, very special to me. So thank you for those memories. I'll always have those memories, and that's what made me such a believer and a fan of the Rockets in those days. But from what you guys ultimately accomplished.
I would love to see another banner. I'm seeing what James Harden is doing. I'm looking at the shape he's in. Very proud of him, man. He's taking this pandemic real serious. I just saw a picture of him the other day. I'm like, man, is that hard? That dude is skinny as heck. So he's really, really working his butt off. Real excited to see that. That's what leaders do. I'm looking to see him and Westbrook back on the floor. That's just an exciting backcourt, just a dynamic backcourt. Them guys are just so explosive. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Rockets get back on the floor.
Appreciate the time again, Mario. Thank you so much. I hope you and your family remain safe and healthy, and look forward to you attending Rudy T's Hall of Fame induction.
Thanks a lot, Craig, for having me. Great talking Rocket basketball, and you be safe out there, you and the family too, buddy. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Mario Elie, my guest. Thanks for watching, folks. Another edition of Rockets Wireside Chat presented by AT&T. That's it. All done. Episode over. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe now to get all things Rockets delivered right to you, and we'll chat with you next time.